Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Doctor Within, where the doctor in here is going to keep you from having to go to all those doctors out there. I'm John Rigdon. I'm a nutrition expert going on almost 13 years now. With nature's...
You're older than that.
Yeah. But I didn't come out of the womb with
He's a
knowledge.
genius.
Yeah, he's a fast learner.
Mm-hmm. I've got Charlie Ray. He's the owner of Nature's Outlet and Amplified Naturals, a supplement company.
Yeah.
Smart. You got a store and you got the product.
We make the stuff and then we put it in the store.
Man.
Is that a conflict of interest?
No, it's like you have a store and it's
not if it's the best.
It's like we've got a store and we need better stuff. What do you do? And
Yeah.
it's like, well, if nobody else is going to do it, we have to do it ourselves.
And Amplified is awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That's very kind of you to say,
man.
I use them every day.
Yeah.
And that's a doctor. That's Dr. Pat Kennedy.
The doctor.
Chiropractor for over 32 years.
Yeah. And I'm like 34, so.
Yeah.
Another child genius.
Many
must be a
many years
stressful
older
job.
than 13.
What are you saying?
All right, guys. So we're going to talk about the immune system, and I think a lot of people don't even realize what all that involves. So I figured the first place to start would be like the first line of defense, like the first component of your immune system that protects you from all these germs that surround us.
Is it bourbon? Is first line of defense?
If it's at least 60%
Okay.
alcohol.
Yeah.
That's
if it's
stout.
made properly,
Yeah.
it's got better chances of living through it.
So what do you? I mean, you guys know, but
Yeah,
what do you think is the first line of defense with the immune system?
I'm going to jump out here and say what I think the public thinks.
Yeah,
It's vaccinations.
preemptively. Yeah,
I'm just going to say,
yeah.
because they think that the vaccination is your immune system.
No, it's a foreign. I mean, yeah, it has nothing to do with.
Ouch! I just
No,
messed up your whole show.
No, you're probably right. Although I think they're less confident in that answer than they were a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Because science.
Yeah.
No, that's.
It's a moving target.
That's a good point. I mean, that's why I think we need to educate.
I mean, isn't that
people.
why you wanted to do this in the first place? Was to talk about.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because people might think, vaccines, antibiotics.
That's your immune system, right?
Or they might think, white blood cells or antibodies.
agents that you can take in to kill the bad stuff. That's
Right.
what I think people think. It's like it's whatever you can ingest that will kill
Yeah.
the bad stuff. I think that's what people think. That's I think what people think.
You're on the right track, and I think he's got some, because we were talking earlier before the show, and I think how you're going to educate the audience is perfect, because they really need to know that antibiotics and vaccines they don't kill the bad stuff. It's your immune system that does it. Your immune system is what is this badass, soldiers out there that's blasting this stuff. And so the medicines, the vaccines, whatever, are supposed to make that work better. It's not
Exactly.
like you take
they're tools. They're not necessarily the actual immune system.
Right, and whether it does it or doesn't do it doesn't matter. It's the theory is it's supposed to make your immune system work better. It's not in replacing. It's like, hey, my immune system stinks, but I got a vaccine, so I'm good. No, you're not. Your immune system still has to be the killer, and I think that's what you're getting at. The immune system has to be the first line of defense and the last line of defense.
Well, so here's a kind of a random question. It's just a hypothetical. Mm-hmm. Would you rather have a super strong, healthy, robust immune system and no antibiotic or vaccine, or would you rather have a highly compromised immune system but have a vaccine or an antibiotic?
Seriously, you're asking me?
Well, it's a loaded question.
Well, I
get it.
I would hope people would only answer that.
But it illustrates the point, and the point And it's, I think it's the point that is lost in all of the messaging that we've had since the cerveza virus arrived, is that it's all about, oh, well, if you get the vaccine or you get whatever, you're fine. And that's the be-all and end-all. Well, we've always been talking at various levels about if you do lifestyle things and you take care of yourself and you do things to fortify your own immunity and make sure it's healthy, that is extremely important.
And that's what you're going to get at, right?
Yeah, let's jump
Yeah,
in.
let's jump
Let's
in.
stop
Let's
talking
first-
about other stuff that's not relevant.
It's totally relevant.
Let's talk about.
It's just
it's not
time-consuming.
relevant to this episode.
Well, you're in a hurry. You're just in a hurry, that's all.
Let's get to it.
So the first line of defense is the largest organ in your body, which is your skin.
Well, for most people.
This is a lost episode.
It's going to be...
I'm trying to increase viewership, and I'm doing my damnedest.
Okay.
You're doing good, Joe. Thanks for coming today.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
So the skin, your skin is the barrier. So it's this first line of defense. This is all about what the barrier between you, what all your cells, all your tissues and organs, and the outside world. I mean, we are surrounded by all of these organisms. I mean, microscopic organisms, and stuff that much of it wants to kill you. I mean, a lot of it's parasitic, wants to come in, take over your body. I mean, eat you alive. I mean, we hear about flesh-eating bacteria like staph, MRSA, things like that. I mean, your skin is that initial barrier, and it's kind of like the castle of your body. I mean, it's the fortification. And if you think about it, like all your
on the walls of the castle.
Yeah, your immune cells are kind of hiding behind that, right? Like just like soldiers up on towers and turrets on a castle. I mean, they're not going after the bacteria and the virus like initially. They're waiting back until something. Yeah, they're waiting until the stuff gets past,
until the perimeter has been breached.
Exactly.
Okay.
I love like in Lord of the Rings, Gondor, Minas Tirith. They have like the capital city with like, I think it's like 7 or 8 different walls. And they would fall back, like when
the first one got broken, and then they would fall back, and they would just keep falling back.
That's kind of how your immune system works. I mean,
your skin, our skin, people don't immediately think skin with immunity, but it literally is it's like you said, it's kind of the biggest barrier. It's a barrier.
It is, exactly.
Okay.
You said something. I know you got points, but you said something in a previous episode that stuck with me. That said that if we were to take all the bacteria that's on your skin surface and took you out of the equation, you could still recognize that it's you because there's so much stuff on your skin.
Right.
And I was like, wow, and all that stuff's not getting inside of us because the barrier is the skin.
Yep.
Right. Absolutely.
And I'll just before I get to the second part, I guess I'll just jump right into like how we're kind of doing a disservice to it. Well, let's just go line by line. I mean, the problem right now, and it's been this way for decades now, is that we are using harsh chemicals like soaps, shampoos, bleaches, hand sanitizers, chlorinated water. I mean, this is destroying our skin. We're really compromising this first line of immunity.
Well, there's a couple of things there that are jumping into my brain as you say that. One is, you have things that are degrading the barrier, like making the barrier have less integrity, right?
Yeah.
But there's also a concept, the word transdermal.
Yes.
Okay. It's
yes.
like, so some medicines, like they've specifically figured out what penetrates the skin, and they will create medicines and whatnot that are transdermal.
Sure.
However, with the tens of thousands of chemicals,
like SLS, sodium lauryl sulfate,
right?
Like that, that's in all your
major
shampoo and soap and body wash and stuff, and that it's a transdermal chemical. I mean, it can carry things through the skin. I mean,
And we think that we're using this to help ourselves, but we're actually
it's not good.
transferring bacteria and things.
There are unintended consequences. Like, so
Wow.
there are aspects of it that, obviously your shampoo works well, and the composition of these formulas, a lot of them have to do to make them feel good, look good, work good. But there are unintended consequences, and a lot of them are the fact that a lot of these chemicals will literally penetrate into our system. And compared to the 1900s, let's say the turn of the century, there are tens of thousands of chemicals that we are in contact with daily that can potentially penetrate the skin barrier. Anyway, that's all I'm saying. I don't want to.
No, that's awesome. And real quick, let's talk about like what we can do to support our skin. I mean, Charlie, this is right up your alley. I mean, what are we always like recommending to our customers for skin support?
Well, we're talking about certain antioxidants,
Sure,
and also like collagen,
collagen
protein.
for sure.
Yeah, so your skin is made to a large degree of collagen. So anything that supports collagen production is going to be helpful. So yeah, collagen, protein,
Vitamin C,
yep. Antioxidants.
Glutathione.
Those are all
Sure.
Those are all things that support the integrity of your skin.
Awesome. All right, let's move on. So
The next barrier.
And this is kind of fits in with the skin, but it's mucus. The thing that most people think is gross and they don't want, but it is super, super important.
Are we talking about snot?
We're talking about snot. We're talking about phlegm.
Lung cookies?
Yeah.
Oysters.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
So,
but that's
mucus.
that's mucus.
Mucus. So, sticking with the medieval, castle analogy, mucus would be like the moat of the castle. Mucus is your biological glue trap for
I like that.
pathogens.
Yeah,
You want to slow it down.
Well, grabs onto it.
It
and grabs it.
and
will
suffocates it.
suffocate and grab
Yeah.
it, and then you expel the mucus, and whatever's been grabbed into that mucus gets expelled, and it's harmless.
Well, think about your house. Think about a house. So the house is, you got the bricks and the wood and all that. That's your castle. That's your skin. And you have a pest issue. Like you've got crickets or roaches or something
dust
coming
mites.
into the house. You put glue traps down around the orifices, the openings of the house, of the body. That's what I mean. We're recreating. It's funny, like the way the human brain works. We're just kind of reverting back to like the things that are natural within us. Natural physiology and biology. So we build a house to protect us. We have this skin, and then to keep like rodents and insects from coming in, we put glue traps down.
We set traps, which is your nasal passages and all the mucus and
exactly.
heck, you even have hair in your nostrils.
Yeah,
And
that would be part of it.
That's part of the
Absolutely.
it's literally just a like a Venus flytrap or something for junk.
Absolutely.
But it's obviously works with mucus.
So mucus is good. I mean, it's all through the GI tract, and it leads us actually to the last.
Well, I want to talk about it.
Yeah,
Can I add on to mucus? So, what do most or many over-the-counter drugs do to when you have a cold or a flu?
Yeah.
What are they doing to make you more comfortable?
Get rid of the mucus.
Yeah, they thin the mucus and expectorant.
They suppress the mucus production.
Yeah.
Well, what is it? It's got to be the thing that's not understood is your body's effort to produce. Your body's working hard to make that mucus, because that mucus is like
It's true.
It's like we're trying to slow down the invaders. We're trying to trap them. We're trying to grab them, wrap them up, and expel them.
Yeah.
And when you take something that relieves your chest congestion, relieves your nasal congestion, all of that. I get it. Sometimes things are out of control and there may be an appropriate time to do that.
Sure.
However, you've got to understand that, I mean, much of the time, you're literally, while making yourself comfortable, and that's what a lot of drugs do. A lot of drugs are not, and even some supplements are not necessarily facilitating healing. What they're doing is producing short-term comfort. And the problem with that is that you're actually getting in your body's way of actually trying to solve the problem.
That's true. And that also kind of illuminates the fact that the immune system is taking care of it on its own. The fact that most drugs, most supplements are just supportive or palliative in nature is like, it just illustrates the fact that the immune system is badass and doesn't really need help most
Well,
of the
and
time.
let's think about this. So when we get a cold,
Yeah.
in the beginning, there's not a lot of mucus sometimes, right? There's not a lot. It's like your body's literally going through this process of figuring out what's going on. Mm-hmm. And then once the body figures out the enemy, so to speak, with its own intelligence, its innate intelligence, that's when the mucus traps come out, because that mucus is like, it's been sort of customized for whatever is coming at us.
Yeah.
Which is why a lot of times it's the tail end of the cold where we're clearing out the garbage. We're clearing, and sometimes it's dead cells and debris and toxins and just stuff from the whole cold thing. That's what the mucus is to just clear it all, get it all out. Yeah. Anyway.
Cool. Yeah.
Sorry, I got excited about the mucus.
Understandable. That's right. All right. So the last part. I mean, there's probably some other parts.
So this is the last part of the first line of defense.
Of the first line.
Like there's a whole lot. I mean, there are several.
Yeah.
Like this is going to be potentially a multi-episode.
Yeah.
We're just doing the first.
So we're really doing the first lines of defense.
Yeah.
Skin, mucus,
and now what's number 3?
Stomach acid.
Ooh.
And that's
that's not like the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah, me neither.
And people think
stomach
acid's bad.
Well, that's just what digests food.
Nah.
And causes reflux, and everybody's mad about that.
Well, you know how, I mean, you've heard this statistic, both of you have. Over 70% of your immune system is in your gut. Yeah. Well, that's part of it. The stomach acid is part of that. That's why.
Yeah, but I mean, doesn't stomach acid? I mean, I'm just thinking from common sense. I mean, doesn't stomach acid just sort of burn your food and break it down? Isn't that what stomach acid does?
Exactly, but the problem is your food is covered in bacteria and viruses and parasites.
And why is that? Because we've intentionally let it pass.
Yeah, it's the
like
front
the
door.
Wall. It's like, well, we let it in. We opened the castle gate.
That's
we
the
let
gate.
it in.
That's the gate. You're right. It's come through the gate, and now the stomach acid. To continue that analogy, we are pouring the hot tar and pitch and molten, lava and stuff down on the invaders
to make sure they're not there.
Yeah,
it does a good job.
It does a great job. As long as
hydrochloric acid it'll whoop up on some viruses and bacteria.
Your stomach acid is what is it? Somewhere between 1.2 and 2.1.
Yeah, it's
on the pH scale, and that's very, very acidic. I mean,
because they don't know those numbers. What does that mean?
So it goes from 1 to 14, and 7 is neutral. That's water. That would be pure, like distilled water with nothing in it. Pure H2O is a 7.
So 1 is really.
But we're talking about an exponential factor decrease.
The most powerful acid you can think of, roughly.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I mean, they use
battery acid.
You can use acid to the stomach acid to separate gold from they use nitric acid and hydrochloric acid and stuff. I mean, a component.
I mean, you drop just about anything in Nevada hydrochloric acid and it's
dissolves.
It's bubbles.
Yeah, you can dissolve gold ore, like the ore away from gold,
So anything biological is going to have a really hard time with that. Anything that's living is going to have a really difficult time in the presence of a lot of hydrochloric acid. So anyway, all right. So we've got this hydrochloric acid. So do you have any comments about that, or what?
Yeah. So going back to we've touched on both the skin and the mucus, how we're kind of doing some detriment, some harm.
Well, there's do's and don'ts with each one, right?
Yeah.
But what about stomach acid? I mean, it's your body makes stomach acid, so what's...
Yeah, and it makes...
what can you do about that?
We know it makes it for a reason. We know that we make stomach acid to digest our food, to melt it down, so that we can absorb it properly, all the nutrition out of our food. Mm-hmm. And now we know that we also make it to kill harmful, to kill germs and pathogens and stuff. A lot stomach digestive issues are super common. Heartburn, acid reflux, things like that. Very common issues, and we really go about that the wrong way, solving that problem. The pharmaceutical approach to that is to shut down the acid production. So what that means is that we're shutting down an important
So we're talking
part
about
of the
heartburn
immune
or
system.
reflux. And reflux has become this epidemic.
Yes.
It's like, we stand in the health food store and it's like, you almost don't need to ask people if they're over, I don't know, say age 40. Like, they have reflux problems. Mm-hmm. It's almost given. And this is probably a topic for a different day, explaining how it's because it's super counterintuitive and hard to understand. But actually, most of your reflux issues are actually because your body's not keeping up with its acid production.
Sure.
And that's counterintuitive because symptomatically, what do you feel with reflux? It's a burn. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so I'm not trying to hijack your.
No, you're fine, man.
But so stomach acid, getting stomach acid right is super important, and you were talking about how the pharmaceutical approach, you were saying it so most of those drugs shut off your acid.
Yeah, so that's...
But you feel better, right? So that's good, right?
Yeah. You feel better temporarily in that regard, but you're opening yourself up to infection. You're opening yourself up to all sorts of nutrition deficiencies, B12, magnesium. I mean, just to name a few. Definitely, digesting proteins and fats is going to be tough. You need stomach acid for
right.
that.
Well, so stomach acid has kind of a multi-role thing, and one is like whipping up on the pathogens. The other is that certain nutrients are only able to be broken down if there's sufficient acid, mm-hmm. which is why you were talking about those particular vitamins.
And that plays a role in nourishing the rest of your immune system. So it's kind of a cascading effect. Also, so here's the thing about stomach acid is when it passes through and it gets towards the intestines, mm-hmm. the receptor sites in the intestines that tell the body that it's time to do the work and the intestinal work of absorbing nutrients. You know what activates those receptor sites? Stomach acid.
Stomach acid.
Yeah.
So if you don't have stomach acid, your digestive system's asleep. Yeah. And now what are you dealing with? Gas,
malnutrition,
bloating, IBS, a bunch of crazy crap that nobody wants.
Yep.
But and by the way, you've now leaked those pathogens into your gut. And the data, yep. And this drives me crazy. It's like those drugs that cut off your acid production, and this is huge because this is not well known. Mm-hmm. If you go to the physician's desk reference, like this isn't just nutrition geeks getting on a soapbox. This is in the physician's desk reference. Let's ask
Dr. Pat. How long I think I know
where where I'm going, yeah.
But how long do you think people should be on these
reflux
proton
drugs,
pump inhibitors and stuff?
How long?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Like if you had to go on it, what's because you were in med school for a while. Like what's in the PDR for that?
For the I'd say less than 3 days.
Yeah. Well,
we set him up. He smelled this. He smelled the trap, and he wasn't gonna walk into it. It's 14 days.
Yeah.
Ish. And anything beyond that is like you need to take a break from them. But we've talked to customers and we're like, oh, you've been taking that reflux drug? How long have you been taking that? Oh, 6 years. Mm-hmm. And now the data is starting to come out. You're talking about massive disease risk increases. And we're not just talking about an upset tummy. We're talking about increased cancer risks and a lot of really bad metabolic diseases because we've disrupted a primary biological function in the body.
Yep.
In the name of creating some comfort.
Well, I would say, and again, just like Charlie, we don't want to hijack what you're talking about tonight because it's very important. But when I think the public hears stomach acid, they think bad.
Mm-hmm.
When they hear fever, bad. But fever is actually
bad.
Really good because of fever, your brain knows, hey, this virus can't live above 102 degrees. So
It slows
it kills
the
it.
replica, and that's a great point. Yeah, and that's probably is that second line. I don't even know what line of defense that is. The whole fever mechanism.
No, that wouldn't. Yeah, that's not the
who
first
knows? I don't even
line.
know.
Yeah, because if those three things are working, you never get a fever. If those three, that's the truth. Like if that keeps, if these three things keep it out. Now, obviously, there are other ways to get infected, but this is
you could have you could get pierced skin and.
Then that would.
But I think you're right. I think to
compromised.
his point is that
when
things get
if these
proliferate,
three things are working really well.
yeah,
You're in much better shape than if they're not, for sure.
No, if these three things are working at optimal levels, you don't get sick. The issue is they don't, because if your skin is good, you're not getting anything through there. If your mucus production's optimal, then even breathing in like droplets from someone's cough or sneeze, that's all going to get trapped in the mucus. You blow your nose, you get it out of your body. If you swallow something, some sort of germ, your stomach acid kills it. So there's obviously things get by.
If you get into a knife fight, or you get some sort of blister that gets infected, or there are things outside of.
Oh yeah, it's inevitable that it's going to get compromised.
Well,
I'm saying
you
that.
can't exist without the other lines of defense. But
of course.
But to what you're saying, I totally agree. Like if these three things are in great working order,
yeah,
you're in pretty good shape.
But I think the thing that I think the audience needs to hear is when you hear stomach acids, it's a good thing. When you hear fever, it's a good thing.
Right.
And I think we've been brainwashed into this false narrative is that stomach acid, it causes indigestion, it causes reflux. No, it doesn't. It's actually your immune system response to something that's not happy.
Well, that's actually ironic because it's the insufficiency of. Well, think about it. If you're a 6-year-old kid, okay, do 6-year-olds going to produce more stomach acid or 60-year-olds? Just knowing like how things as you get older don't work quite as well. You don't hear about, and people really believe, oh, I have reflux, it's too much acid. No.
Yep.
It's the literal opposite. It's counterintuitive. I understand it. It doesn't seem right because, oh, I lay back in bed and I get this backwash of acid burn. Yeah, well, that's basically what's happening is, you don't have enough acid there to take care of what's going on, and you got stuff in your gut that's fermenting, and when it ferments, it's creating foam, this kind of foamy stuff that's starting to rise up, and in that foam, there is some acid, and that's what you're feeling. You're feeling acid, but the reason you got the foam and all that mess and all that junk floating in the top of your gut is because you don't have strong digestion to just take care of business.
So how do we enhance those three things?
All right. So we're gonna have to do this quickly because we're running way over on this episode. But we talked about for skin, collagen, like bone broth, things like that, vitamin C.
Using
supplements.
cleaner cosmetics that aren't laced with chemicals.
Yes. Yeah.
Using more natural body care stuff is big.
Mucus. The best thing you can do is drink water. That's going to keep the mucus at the viscosity that you need it to be. That's a natural way to thin mucus is drink, and especially warm fluids like hot herbal teas and things like that. Fantastic way to manage mucus production,
and mainly to avoid comfort drugs that are suppressing mucus. Like if you can tolerate more mucus, you're better off just because you're clearing it out faster. Now, I get it. There are occasions where it's just like it's out of control, and there may be the occasional situation where it's appropriate to sort of kind of dial it back a little bit. But for the most part, mucus is your friend, and like just
Let it out.
every time you blow your nose in that junk, that's junk that was illness and garbage and toxins.
It's out.
That's out. It's out now. Yep. Like you should be happy when that happens.
And then stomach acid. I mean, you want to contain it. And honestly, and like Charlie was saying, you actually, the older you get, you need to build it up. You want to do things like apple cider vinegar. There's a supplement called betaine hydrochloride.
It's fantastic.
Which if that sounds similar, that's the hydro. That's how you kind of make the hydrochloric acid.
It primes your pump to make more hydrochloric acid.
But and then you want to contain it. So use things like aloe and DGL. Those
are soothing
licorice.
herbs that if you do have that backflow, and we've got, there are reflux formulas that we have that are
fantastic.
holistic. They kind of do all that at one time.
Yeah. But yeah, so to wrap it up, we just wanted to educate the audience about, this first line of defense, aspects of the immune system people don't think about. And this is how you can kind of start your immune system off in a good way, in a strong way.
And I would just say, all of which have nothing to do with antibiotics or vaccines.
Yeah, none of it. In fact, that's the antithesis to this, but
right,
like the skin and stuff.
Like this, this is your first line of defense.
Yep. So, this fits in with the whole narrative of the doctor within.
This is how it operates. We're getting into the operational elements of how the doctor within actually does stuff.
Exactly. And, look at all this and take care of your body, take care of that first line of defense, and you won't need, the doctors out there.
Works for me.
And that's a wrap.